build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance that's bit in his eye. Well, they gave me ball, but I can see between to a dusty yard and long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I drown my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as a judge.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Shortbangers. My name's Matty. I'm your host tonight, and joined by John. John, how are you doing?
I'm good, aye. It's episode 20.
Episode 20.
Episode 20. I was scrolling up there and I was trying to non-verbally communicate to you which Hibs player it might be, and then I was going past like number 17, that's Ivan Sproul, how can I do that? Number 18, number 19, here we are, number 20. 19 obviously was Matty Jack. So I was just going to like simulate punching someone.
Who was, have we had a number 20 before?
Fletcher, was he 20?
That's a good question. Maybe somebody can, Burning Retro, if you're listening, you're bound to know this. If we get number 20, somebody let us know who's been number 20 for Hibs, because I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
I'm going to say that possibly Mikel Antoine Courier was number 20 as well. But that could just be grasping at straws.
Aye. He was a player that you thought was going to be brilliant, and then was not brilliant.
He was as good at football as he was at rattling supermodels, so-called supermodels. Actually, that's a bit harsh because, I don't know, Alicia Duval, you remember her? She'd just been ripped apart by surgeons.
Yeah. Very, like blonde and very plastic.
Yes, aye, she was like a melted Barbie doll. This is chat like that gets me Twitter bans.
Aye. And what were you banned from Twitter for, John?
I was banned from Twitter because I was chatting with one of the listeners. I think the boy's name's Matt Reid. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about favourite insults because I think he'd called you a Tory. And I said that was one of my favourite insults. It was top 5. And he said, "Oh, I want to know what's your number 1." And I said, "Cunt" or "Tory cunt." So I was banned for hate speech for 7 days. Sorry, it's not for 7 days. It's 7 days.
Hours, is it?
No, it's 7 days if I remove the tweet. I'm not fucking removing the tweet.
Yes. So, 20. Let me get out. 24 hours if you remove the tweet, and 7 days if you don't.
No. 7 days if I remove the tweet. That's it. That's the ban.
What happens if you don't remove it then? You're just indefinitely banned.
Sindai, I'm out.
What a terrible thing to get banned for, in the grand scheme of things. Right, we're recording this one again. I'm going to put the video on YouTube because we did an experiment, John. You know this, with our last episode of Longbangers, where we put the video of the podcast out so that folk could watch it while they were listening. Fuck knows why you want to do that because, you know. However, it's gone down well. We've had, so it's only been out for a day or so, but 101 views as it stands at this minute, which is over 10 times the views the YouTube video before it got. And it made me look back through all the episodes that we've put out to kind of get an idea of the numbers. And we have reached 100 and odd before. And then I found one. We did episode 54 of Longbangers, John, right? And it was called South Korean Sex Dolls. And we put that on YouTube. How many views do you reckon that's had?
I'm going to say around 250.
586. There are 586 sad tossers who have searched YouTube for South Korean sex dolls and have ended up listening to us.
At what point do you think they turned it off because they're like, these bastards are never going to get around to my fetish of choice?
They're looking at like going at it furiously. It's like 10 minutes in, 20 minutes in, the arm's getting sore, and then I'm going to hazard a guess nothing's happening here.
Imagine, oh god, I can only just imagine the climax. Like, what was episode 54?
That
We're
would
probably
be the
talking
definition
about
of an anticlimax, wouldn't it?
Aye, that's gonna. Christ, you might need therapy after that.
At least we're not paying for it. So tough luck. If that's what you were looking for, be it on your own head. Right. Anyway, we've not even got started tonight. Shortbangers, as you know, John, 20 minutes. We've got questions from Twitter, from our listeners, that we shall pose to each other and see what we come up with. So, 20 minutes timer has started. First question comes from Straight Red. They said £1 million, but you can't wear shoes for the rest of your life. Yes or no?
Yes. Wait, what was the question? Do I need to go barefoot if I say yes?
Yeah, effectively that's what's happening. I suppose you could wear socks.
That's not in the spirit of the question, is it?
No.
Nah, barefoot. Aye, £1 million. Aye, definitely. It would take a wee while, but you would develop calluses after a wee while, surely.
Okay, well, I would say no to that, right? And I like the idea, but £1 million these days obviously is a lot of money, but it's not that much money, right? And you imagine going down to Easter Road when we're allowed back in a December night, New Year derby, maybe if Hearts ever get back up into the top league, and you're having to sit there like with socks and shoes on, your feet get called in. That imagine that with bare feet, how horrendous that experience would be.
That's a shout. I wish I could do an Irish accent because I would do that boy going, you wouldn't be long getting frostbite.
So I would say no to that. It's a nice offer, but I'm going to politely decline. But you said yes, so Straight Ed, we'll give you, we'll DM you the bank account details for John, and you can pay the money straight into his bank account. I'm assuming it was a genuine offer, John.
It makes me wonder what sort of weird ways you might get up to try and warm your feet up at Easter Road, like mid-December, January, whatever, if you had the £1 million. Or maybe you can just wrap it in like £10 notes or something. No, that's not barefoot though.
No, but you could have a wee portable heater with you. Now you could put wee heaters at your feet. It's a faff though, isn't it?
Aye. Nah, I'd still want the £1 million.
If you step in dog shit and stuff like that as well.
Fuck, doing Leithway, it could be anything.
Aye. You'd be responsible for starting COVID again. Right. Next question, John McEwen. He said, all-weather pitches, market masterstroke or posh paddling pool?
It's a wee bit like global warming and how they had to rename it climate change because global warming, you think everything's going to warm up and it doesn't warm up. It actually means more extreme versions of the weather that you get. So that's why we've got shitey snow and pissing rain for about the last 3 months. I don't know what they do though. Like they've kind of made a rod for their own back, calling them all weather pitches. I think Livy this season have had 2 games called off because it was frozen, or I think the first one was probably frozen. Last night it was waterlogged, but it was. Didn't get me wrong. Like at that stage, just up the road for the Livy Stadium, it was properly tipping down, and it had been pretty much all afternoon. So posh. I don't know about posh, but it's definitely a paddling pool.
Are they modelled as all-weather pitches, or are they not just called artificial pitches? Is this like I'll show my age here. See, when you start at McDonald's, the first thing that they tell you is it's no fast food, it's fast service, right? Because the food takes as long as it takes to cook, right? It's no fast food, fast service. The idea is you get served quick, but everybody calls it fast food because that's like the coined term for it.
Aye.
And maybe this is like an all-weather pitch. It's like when you Sky Plus something, even if you're on Virgin, folks still talk about Sky Plus and stuff when they record it.
Well, I don't know if anyone ever said that I don't know if the people, like when Livingston made the decision to install that pitch, I don't know if they ever said we're installing an all-weather pitch. But I think the idea, like for anyone that plays like fives, for example, or I think they've been installed in schools as well. And I think that's where they maybe get the moniker like all-weather pitches.
Aye.
But it does kind of make a wee bit of a mockery of it. Like they've installed it for a reason. If those assuming fans were able to go to the games just now, that's lost revenue. But I think the idea behind the pitches in Livingston's example was it was costing too much for them to maintain the pitch.
Yeah.
So it I don't know, seems a bit of a catch-22. And I'm guessing the SPL or whatever the body is now, I think one of their original requirements was under soil heating. So I'm guessing
That's
they don't
have that apparently as well.
Is it? Just quietly done away with?
Don't know why, yeah. Anyway, right, next question. James Rees. Would you rather fight one giant, aka normal size, Matt Macy, or 100 tiny ones?
I thought about this earlier, and Matt Macy's only got a couple of inches on me in height.
Where it counts.
So I'm going to go for the novelty of 100 miniature Matt Macy's.
I think that as well. Go with the wee ends.
How would you? How would
I
you
suppose
go
like
about
how, I
battering them all?
suppose how wee they are. Well, you could just jump on them. Surely. It
Aye.
depends how wee. Like if they're proper tiny, like in toy soldier size, and crunch, 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 that's fine. But if they were, I suppose if they were like midget size or slightly bigger, you probably have a better chance against the one giant one.
How many do you think? So I'm thinking for like an Ant-Man point of view. How many do you think you could kill or defeat 100 miniature Matt Macy's before they were to start like crawling up your legs and start, I don't know, pulling at your pubes or getting up your nose or
Aye,
blinding you?
overrunning you.
Aye.
I don't know, yeah, it depends how wee that's. Yeah, I'll take the big one. Even just the thought of that, like getting in your nose and your mouth and everything, like, bleh,
Aye.
like
That's a
the
bit
beasties. Fuck that. Right, Mikey Stewart, not the Mikey Stewart from off of the telly. He said, if you have two lasagnas and place one of them on top of the other, do you then have one big lasagna or do you still have two? And this is exactly the sort of thing that we like to discuss on Shortbangers.
I think it's still one lasagna with an extra layer of bechamel throughout the middle, and that sounds delicious.
Does sound decent. I'll go for one big one as well. And again, we'll send you details of where to send that, Mikey, and we'll try it out. Do you remember Garfield that used to eat lasagna?
Yeah.
Aye.
See
He's a lazy kid.
see when you ever have lasagna, do you just have like a square or a rectangle of lasagna on your plate? Is that your meal, or do you have like a wee side, a bit of salad, or anything else?
It depends. If I was making the lasagna myself, I would have a wee bit of salad on the side. If I was going for scratch and doing it, if I was just grabbing one out off of Tesco's to stick in the microwave, I'd just have that.
I like.
What you?
I think it must be something I've picked up anytime I've ever had it in a restaurant or ever. Ever had it in a restaurant or ever seen it served in a restaurant. But I like a wee side of chips to go with it, and I think it's because I like dunking it in the sauce.
Oh no, that sounds good.
Try it. Works with potato waffle, smiley faces, you name it.
Did you do the potato waffle challenge?
No, I've got it. Do you know? See, so because I've been on a diet and I've been working out and stuff, I track my calories through this thing called MyFitnessPal. And I was having a look the other day at how many calories it was going to be for 12 potato waffles, and it's within like my daily allowance. I think it's like 1,200 calories.
Did the beans tip it over the edge?
No, I think that would probably only take me up to about 1,500. So don't get me wrong, like it would be one meal. It would probably have to be like my dinner or my tea, depending on whether you're a Tory or not. That one's for you, Matt.
Yep. All right, that's lasagna. Right, John R said chippy is a deep fried pizza supper, an acceptable chippy.
Is it just the pizza or is it a pizza supper?
Pizza supper. I would say I had no problems with a pizza supper, like.
Aye. I was saying to folk on Twitter that I think the only thing that I think I have a bit of difficulty with whenever I see it in the wee hot counter thing in the chippy is the deep fried chicken and the steak pie. I don't think gravy lends itself well to being immersed in fat, like boiling hot fat. And chicken
Are
like
they
that.
baked the steak pies though? They're not baked.
Oh,
I think it's a baked steak pie you get. So a steak pie wouldn't be my go-to at the chippy anyway. I would have chicken though. See a chicken supper with salt and sauce, and you get the salt and sauce and the crispy skin. Yeah, fucker. That's I've not had that for ages. And then when you mentioned it there, my mouth is watering in a minute thinking about it.
well, funny you say that. When someone mentioned the boy mentioned the pizza supper, I was thinking, oh god, that sounds amazing. Like there's something about the cheapest, shitiest cellophane wrapped pizza, deep fried, coming out in its big cellophane wrapper, salt and sauce through the middle, folded over, just beautiful.
Aye, they do. Not everywhere, but in Fife you can get a pizza crunch supper where they batter the pizza
Oh,
and fry it. And It's fucking good as well. It's grease, do you know what I mean? All you're eating is grease, really.
Yeah.
But it's nice grease.
It's no wonder we've got life expectancies
I know.
low 60s.
That's why I look like a fat Father Ted and not just Father Ted. Right, Neil Henderson said, most deplorable refereeing performance. He walked out of a Hibs v Falkirk game. Dallas, the big I am centre of attraction, no football played. I thought the Falkirk game was Freeland.
Well, I wasn't sure
Andy
whether
like that.
Hugh
Unless it's
or Andrew, because if you remember, I don't know if Hugh Dallas was still a referee, but the referee who took charge of Hibs Falkirk at Easter Road when John Hughes was in charge of Falkirk, and there was like 3 players sent off before half time. Like that was scandalous. Was that Freeland? That the game? But there was, I think there's been a couple games in the last few years. There was one when I was at Easter Road, and I just cannot for the life of me remember the opposition. I want to say it was maybe Ross County or something, but because my wife's only ever been to Easter Road with me, or maybe like 2 or 3 occasions when we were sat in the famous 5, and I was honestly spitting bullets. I couldn't believe it. Like I honestly felt, and I think I maybe still do, that the referee was cheating. Like I actually thought he was willfully not giving decisions his way, just because.
100% been games, so that's the case. The Falkirk one, I'm sure. I think Liam Craig might have got sent off, and he was a sub for Falkirk. So I was there with my family. He was a Rangers fan. Excuse me. And we were in the east under the gantry, but that sort of vicinity, and everybody was kicking off. Like everybody was going wild about it. And Adrian said it was the best atmosphere he's ever been at. He said it was like so hostile and just like exciting and like that. But it was the referee made that atmosphere. He was absolutely atrocious. 150k on Highland Hill came in and answered that. He said the obvious one is the 2012 Scottish Cup final, which again was deplorable. And then he said he'd probably go with a game from the Championship, which he thinks was Queen of the South. The wee square-headed ref Crawford Allen seemed impervious to actual rules. Thought of chucking it that day.
I wonder. I'd need to go back through the records to see if that was the game that I'm talking about. I thought it was Ross County, but it could just as well have been Queen of the South. I remember there was another game. You know the game where Keating scored like pretty much with the last kick of the ball. I think that was against Falkirk. I think if I remember rightly, that was a dodgy refereeing performance as well, or it was just because it was Falkirk and Falkirk.
I think it was probably because it was Falkirk. I can't remember the referee being particularly bad that game, but that's probably because you remember it because it was more or less the game where we won the league.
Yeah.
Do you know, and that late goal, that was Keating's was getting the boy was shouting, put him onto his right, yeah. And Keating's put on his right and then just bent into the top corner. It was a fucking great goal.
Thank you very much.
Of that. Right, Ladij said, without looking it up, can Matty name Hibs' new signing from Australia? Right.
Pressure's on.
Right. Irvin Jackson?
No.
Right, well, it's Jackson Irvin then. Fuck me. He tweeted yesterday, I think it was yesterday, maybe the day before when he signed, and he's kind of like glad to join, etc. And I apologise in advance for all the times that I'm going to get that wrong. Right, let me find the next question. Neil Renton. Fun enough, look who the question is about. Right, with Jackson Irvin joining Hibs with his tattoo of Mo from The Simpsons, what's your favourite character from the show, and which character do you think is a Jambo?
My favourite character, I think, is just the classic Homer. I think Homer's provided me with so many stupid belly laughs that the others can't match. But I think if I was to pick a Jambo out of the Simpsons cast, it would be Disco Stew.
That's a good shout. I forgot about Disco Stew when I was thinking about the answer to this question.
Because I think in one of the episodes he's cutting about with a pair of like see-through shoes that's got a dead goldfish floating about in the bottom of them. Like that just strikes me as Jambo behaviour.
And he's a sex pest as well, which again, you know, it's part of their DNA. One might say. I thought of hi, I'm Troy McClure because he's got kind of cardigans and stuff, and again that's sort of synonymous with the Jambos. Or Mayor Quimby, he's a bit corrupt. Could have. Hi.
Strikes me as a man that transcends football.
Yeah. Gary Small suggested Whalen Smithers because they're always greeting about something. And John Stenhouse said, well-known fact that Willie supports Aberdeen. Mayor Quimby has an air of Amishness. So there you go. And he'd be backed by Ralph Wiggum and his dad. Millhouse just can't get it right. Has to be one of us. I don't want to say anything about Fat Tony. Understandable there. Fat Tony, if you're listening, which you probably are, we don't want to say anything about you either. Right, Mixu99. He's got quite a good user handle at Archibald's. We tribute to Steve Archibald. What superstition do any of you follow when trying to hold on to a lead and under relentless pressure, e.g. fingers crossed, close your eyes, turn the volume down the TV, leave early, pray, etc., or just accept it's all going to go to shit?
It honestly is dependent on something that I could have noticed in maybe like the last 2 or 3 minutes, or even like the previous 45. So say, for example, I haven't looked at my phone in the previous 45 minutes. If Hibs are getting beat, maybe I'll look at my phone to see if that maybe helps break it.
We sometimes get the mint soup, like I have a packet of
aye.
mints with me, so we'll sometimes have a lucky smint to try and get prompt the team into action. That's more my dad's than mine. I do. We were talking about this with Tracy Smith after the Celtic game because she tweeted and said, "I wish people would wait till the final whistle before commenting on the game." And I said, "Would you never do the reverse jinx, which is where you preempt something bad happening, like we're never going to score, and the reverse jinx says you score because it makes you look like a tit because you said it's not going to happen." So sometimes I will do that. We'll do the reverse jinx, like, oh fuck, he's going to miss this penalty, and then poof, hey, he scored the penalty, or that kind of thing.
Try and if there's anything else. I did say something. If someone else might be able to go and look at my tweets, because obviously I can't, but I definitely said something just before McGinn gave away the free kick and Turnbull stuck it away the other day there. And I felt really shit about that because I felt like whatever, because I'd said, I think I'd said something positive about Hibs.
Aye, that's the jinx. That's you've done the opposite of the reverse jinx.
Aye, I fucked it. I've Jonah'd it.
What you need to immediately do there, Celtic are definitely keeping a clean sheet in this game. I can fucking feel it. And then we go up the park and score, and you reverse jinxed it. Right, James Forth, referring back to the Simpsons, he said the boy who works in the box factory is definitely a Jambo. He just reminds me of one, and he has kind of shown the picture of it. I don't know if that'll work.
No, I know who. I saw it earlier. I know who he means. I'd maybe go as far to say Frank Grimes. Then anyone that's a fan of the Simpsons might remember.
Aye, Homer's enemy, mortal enemy.
Aye, he's in the running to be a Jambo, like.
Aye, definitely. James Forth also said, ever seen Ewan Murray and Comic Book Guy in the same room? Very similar, both Jambos. Lionel Hutz probably would have taken on their case against relegation. Ewan Murray, right? So I'm not sure if we talked about Ewan Murray on the podcast before. So the writes for The Guardian, big Hearts fan, fucking arsehole. After Leanne Dempster took the job at Queen's Park, she made reference to one of her, like the best time Hibs was winning the Scottish Cup, and he called her out on it to say, what was she centre forward that day or something?
Aye, chief exec or centre forward.
Fucking sad bastard. He's somebody who, and I'm actually regretting already talking about him because he's one of these folk who used to starve him for fucking oxygen. Then I react to anything he does. He'll go away. He's just one of those ones. He's just like a Katie Hopkins type. He tries to put the fishing rod out and then just fucking ignore him.
There are people out there that are deliberately antagonistic. And I was going to say that he probably finds himself in the same sort of company as like Katie Hopkins and like Nigel Farage. Not necessarily because of politics or whatever.
Yeah.
Just like appealing or like looking for outrage.
Aye. They'll post something to try and I think I don't think he's a young guy either. He's like somebody who probably should know better. And I say that, and obviously look at some of our tweets, right? And I do them, and a lot of them are very, very fucking childish. But this is a childish podcast. Do you know what I mean? Like
We
We're not
started
writing-
childish and we're going to stay childish to the end.
We're not writing for the fucking Guardian. We set our stall out early doors that we have low standards. So, my advice to anybody is if you follow him on Twitter and get annoyed with him, click the unfollow button and just ignore the prick. He's about as Jambo as Jambo can get. John, time's up, but we've not got many questions left, so we'll finish off. Kunster, construction workers want to down tools because they can't get a takeaway. Should they go to work for the first time ever with a lunchbox using their kids' one as they're not at school just now?
So my adopted dad, who's younger than me, he works on a construction site. He's a site manager. And
That's not a very nice thing to say about him. Should he tries hard?
No, he's-
Oh, a site manager, right?
Site
Sorry,
manager. No.
misheard you.
I wouldn't be taking a lunchbox to work based on the catering options that he's described to me. They sound phenomenal. I think he's got like a curry club Thursday going on, and he talks about these like massive slabs of caramel shortcake. I'm desperate to go through.
Have you got a pallet box? And if you did have one, what kind would you go for?
Transformers, classic,
These
or
shout-
something.
I play a bit of Star Wars, and I've got like I get given gifts. Like I like Star Wars, so I get a lot of my gifts that I get given are Star Wars themed, and I've got like a R2D2 coffee cup thing that's really cool.
That's something to show off on the podcast next time. Just have it
Yeah.
sitting.
Right, yes, it's over there. It's out of reach at the moment. Anyway,
Anyway,
I also have an R2D2 Xbox 360, which is if you're geeky, which I'm a bit fucking geeky, it is awesome because it's the decal's all white and blue, like it's a wee droid. And when you open the tray, it does like the wee R2D2 whistle.
I would like to see a picture or a video of that, of you like turning it on or ejecting a disc or whatever.
Aye, I shall get that to you. Not on Twitter because you'll see it.
Just
Aye, I'll show you
send
this-
it to Alternative Hibs.
Aye. You didn't want to be telling Twitter that's who you are. Right, the Cal Chalmers said, seeing as it's not being currently used for chips, has Robbie Nielsen been using the infamous There Will Be Chips fryer in the main stand of Tynecastle to wash his face? Or do his hair?
Maybe. I don't know, like there's
He does
There's-
have an air of somebody who's been duking for chips.
there's an awfully wide array of hair products that men can use. You ever seen Dax hair wax?
Yeah.
Have you ever used it?
Nope. I don't think
That
so.
stuff's like industrial sealant or something. Honestly, you could plug your like gaps in your windows with it. It's outrageous.
So I think I might need something like that. Like, I missed. I can't remember if we talked about this in the last podcast, but we did because we were talking about Old Town Barber shop,
Oh
the
yeah.
barber club. Yeah, how I'd missed the appointment and now can't get an appointment at a hairdresser. And my hair is fucking ridiculous. So, something like industrial cement mixer or whatever
You need
might
to-
might do.
You need to get like a basin in the hot water beforehand, and you put the wee, I don't know what it's made of, like the metal tub that it sits in, and you use that like the hot water to warm it up, and then that's the only way that you can like, you can't just like rub it between your hands to like sort of warm it up like you would with maybe like your VO5 wax or whatever. Like this stuff is thick, and then when you put it in your hair, like your hair will never move for the rest of the day, but you'll never be able to wash it out for the next 6 weeks either. Just, it's outrageous stuff.
It'll be that long time. Get my hair cut, so that might do. Who would have thought you were getting men's grooming tips on Shortbangers as well?
That's what I was saying. We're
And no, just
lady in the
about trimming
streets
your
and-
balls, etc. Right, Cal Chalmers also said, which of Edinburgh's waterways will Gary Mackay-Stephen find his way into first? Waterleith, hopefully. Yes, after being booted from Easter Road to
Has
the
he-
Waterleith Easter Road.
Has he
If it-
signed for Hearts?
Yeah,
If
he
could
signed for
come?
them, yeah.
I was
think
going to
so.
say then that if he finds himself in the Waterleith, I don't think he's going to get plucked out like he was the River Kelvin.
No, I don't think he will.
He'll
You
get
would hope
left
it's as a result of a heavy Darren McGregor challenge. Just cleans him out over the stand. And right, name cannot be blank. Said, seeing as Kevin Lasagne plays for Udinese, why haven't we got a Giuseppe Haggis playing in the Scottish League? What other foodstuffs could you use in a nominative deterministic way to encourage national stereotypes?
I wish Brian was here to answer that, because I think he could go away for an hour, days even, and just come up with so many different things.
Well, Lee Curry scored for Bonnyrigg. Rose against Dundee, in fact, scored twice in the 2 penalties last week. So you could have Lee Curry. He would need to play in the Indian League.
Aye. Oh, right, okay. That's a bit of thinker. Do we need to go away and think about that? Because I was thinking something ridiculous.
We'll say, yeah, we'll go away and think about it, but what will actually happen, John, is we will instantly forget it and never refer to that question again, like we normally do.
I was going to say something like Jimmy Paella, like plays in the Portuguese league.
Big Dave Carbonara. Gavin said, your favourite piece of criticism or abuse you've ever received?
I don't know if it classifies as abuse, but when I was younger and my mates and I used to play together, one of them he practically whispered in my ear, "You're struggling," and that was me.
No, a wee thing like that's amazing. Just to like clamp you like that.
So that was my favourite, and it still makes an appearance every so often. What about you?
I mind. I remember I worked like a McDonald's manager, and obviously you try to have like a laugh through the shift, and there must have just been a guy who wasn't finding it funny, because I think at one point he just looked at me and went, "You're a funny guy," Joe, sarcastic as anything, and I was like, "Fuck you." Fair enough. Fair enough. Can't really argue. Aye, that kind of again. It's no particularly nasty or anything, but just very, very cutting and dry, and you go, yeah, I'll just get on with my work then, will I? There was when I worked for Sky, you have to go out and get like 360 feedback. You know, like you ask your peers to give you feedback, and I think it'd be fair to say I didn't really settle at Sky the first year or so that I was there. Very cliquey place, I found, and one of the bits of feedback that I got, they just said Mr. Vanilla. I was like, fucking hell, Mr. Vanilla, like a right boring cunt. That probably was a bit right for the time, I suppose, but that kind of gave me a wee boot up the arse to go and change. How was it at work?
Was that anonymous feedback?
Aye.
Did you ever find out who wrote it?
Nah,
did anyone ever confess?
Didn't really matter, nah. Wasn't bothered. It was like that. They just had done it. They obviously said it for a reason, so.
They wonder you're a Virgin customer now, eh?
Aye, well, there was that, and you know, I've surely been working my way around killing them all. So eventually, I'll get whoever did it. Lee McIntosh and Ned Flanders has a bit of jambo about him, and the last question of the night comes from Kaiser Soze: independence, yes or no?
Yes.
100% yes, every day of the week. For me, this needs to happen like fucking now. Right, thanks very much for your questions, everybody. We'll be back on Monday, probably, with the long bangers after Hibs play Killie. In the meantime, thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.